Okay, okay, so we're gonna get started. And we have, this, a nice intimate group here, the three of us here.
Okay.
And so I'll be looking over here and I'll be over here. We're gonna talk about, and can you hear me okay? On Zoom? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna talk about negotiations today. And the first thing I want you to think about when you think about negotiations is commitment. And a commitment to your long-term career, your commitment to your relationship with your clients, commitment to your goals and what you want to accomplish. And that will help you stay focused when you're negotiating with people on what you are actually committed to. And so that you don't get stuck with attacking a person instead of a problem that you're trying to solve or create, deal with. So, and I have my some notes here to make sure that I don't forget anything here that I want to talk to you about. Why are you doing real estate?
Why?
Mhm.
I'm a physical therapist, and I always wanted, but like since I purchased my home, I always wanted to know more about real estate, like as an investment tool, as well as source to help my friends and family. So, I decided like if I'm in the business myself, I would have more leverage, more connection, and that's it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. Joseph or Tavon? Joseph,
Why,
What's-
why am I doing real estate?
yeah, but actually, let me get more specific. If you had all the money in the world and every single thing you could ever possibly want physically, what would you do?
All the money in the world, what would I do? I
Mhm.
would probably. I mean, I would probably build a hospital. I would definitely want to build a hospital.
Do you have a specific location that you'd want it?
Here in Maryland, Baltimore.
Oh, okay. And who would it be for? I mean, why would you build a hospital?
So it would be a mix of things. I mean, homeless, helping the homeless, helping, people who can't afford healthcare, things like that. Especially if I had all the money in the world, yes, it would be totally to help everybody who can't afford healthcare. Yes, that's exactly right.
Awesome, beautiful. So that's why this negotiation training is important for you.
Okay.
That's why every negotiation is important for you on every single negotiation for every single contract that you deal with. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Does that change your answer, give you a broader answer? Because
Right.
I didn't ask you clearly. So what would you do if you had all the money in the world?
Well, first of all, I will make sure that I'm living comfortably and traveling and spending time with family and everybody. But like I do some charity work. I will try to help out people who need, maybe affordable housing, affordable healthcare. All those are good things. Yeah, I haven't really thought about that like that, but yeah, definitely I would like just travel around like as much as I can, and just buy more assets.
Okay.
More properties, more assets.
But why?
Just to have the freedom.
Freedom to what?
Do whatever I want to do, whenever I want.
Okay.
And the freedom not to choose to work.
Okay, perfect. You need to narrow that down. So
Okay.
it's gonna help you as you make your decisions moving forward. What about you, Teresa? Are you able to talk or just listen today?
No, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk.
So if you
So-
had all the money in the world, what would you be doing?
I want to leave a legacy, but a strong and long-term legacy to my children, because I'm moving toward helping widows, orphans, not all orphans that lost their parents, very smart kids, but they have no means to pay for their studies. So in Africa, I mean, in developing countries.
Uh-huh, yeah, so you
So
want to
that's-
help with education and growth and empowerment in developing countries.
Yes,
And so if you had all the money in the world, that's what you would do. And every negotiation that you do in a contract with a client is getting you closer to that.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. What about you, Tavon? Are you able to talk?
Well, I'm at work right now, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. You know, if I had all the money in the world, what would I do? I know I would donate a lot. One thing I always wanted was like a big parking lot. I'm also trying to leave a legacy. Laundromat. I have a lot of different ideas and things that I would like.
What if you had all of that? Because I get, you've got a legacy and a plan of all of the different things that you can do. But what if you had all of that and were generating all the money you could ever possibly want or need ever? Then what would you do?
That I'm not sure. Right.
Okay, awesome. Then, and you can just drill down on that. It's just something to think about. Because every time you have a transaction, there are multiple levels of negotiation. And the main thing is that you're committed to those things in your life. That's what you're working for. But then you are working with clients who are also committed to something. And they're with you committed to some type of lifestyle that they're looking for, some type of buying a house, what they want, like that's what they're doing. So that they can live better. I did a home buyer seminar on Saturday, and the woman just wanted a house with a big enough backyard to have chickens. She'd been raised in an apartment, lived in an apartment, just wanted to have chickens and couldn't ever have them. She just wanted, that was the thing. And that the agent working with her was like, got her commitment to that there was a freedom for her in being able to have that. And there's a freedom for Joseph being able to think about, I'm creating a hospital in Baltimore to help people without healthcare. And I'm getting my buyer into the house that they want, so they've got the freedom they want. But you have to keep those things first and foremost with every single client that you're working with, because that's going to help you stay calm and focused and getting your clients to where they want to go, without getting caught up in all the minutia of all the drama that people and human beings who aren't focused get caught up in. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because and the other part of it is this is your career and you're going to be working with these agents again. So the buyers will come and go and you'll work with them again and again, but the listing agent you're going to work with again and again too. So you've got, before one part of the negotiation is that Ashley in here. One part of the negotiation is, there we go. One part of the negotiation that you have to deal with is getting the contract accepted first, right? So you get the contract accepted, your clients get, the listing agent says, okay, we're all set, we're ready. And you say, we're making an offer contingent on a home inspection. And I'm using home inspections because I didn't tell you this at the beginning. I just started like it was a race and we had to get going. But I'm a home inspector and I have been since 2006. And so I've seen situations where the whole thing falls apart because the buyers are not prepared for the home inspection. They don't know what to think about. They don't know what to expect, what's happening. So they go in with unrealistic expectations and then they're disappointed and they end up without the house that they actually want because they are not able to stay focused on their commitment, which is why knowing your commitment helps them stay focused on theirs. So to prepare your buyers for the home inspection, so you've already dealt with one negotiation and you've got the contract accepted. Now you're saying to your buyers, there's no such thing as a perfect house. This is going to be familiar to you. There's no such thing as a perfect house. There are only two types of houses. There are houses that have problems and houses that are going to have problems. So you're preparing your client for the fact that they're going to do this inspection and there's going to be problems, even if it's a brand new construction. And that's important. And they need to know that, because if they don't know it, then they're expecting the house to be perfect. And they're expecting to get in there and not have to, and to be able to have you get everything covered. They're going to say to you that they want to have the everything on the home inspection done by the seller, which is just not reasonable to expect. And then they're gonna try and they're gonna argue, they're gonna have a whole babble about it and try and get out of the deal because they're not getting stuff done. And that does not align with their commitment. If the house works for them and you got them to that point, you got them to getting an accepted home inspection, contract with an inspection, then you want to keep going if it's really what they want. So then the next thing is, it's not a code inspection. A home inspection is to, and so then you're explaining to them what a home inspection is and is not. We are being the only person in person, like I'm already. So my dad was a minister and we always had to sit in the front row at church because, there had to be someone in the front row and you wanted to be able to look at us, And I always think of in a classroom setting, it's like, no one wants to sit in the front row. It's just like church.
Yeah, usually I sit in the last bench, but since I'm here, I'm the only one in the class.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so a home inspection is not a code inspection. There's only two types of houses, ones that have problems, ones that are gonna have problems. There's no such thing as a perfect house. And then a home inspection is for major mechanical, safety, electrical, and plumbing issues. It's not for code inspection. The house doesn't have to be a current code to sell. And it's not cosmetic stuff. It's not little things. It's not replacing a doorknob or a light switch cover. And that's the stuff that if you prepare your buyers for that, then the inspection goes much more easily when they get in there and go, oh, the water heater's leaking all over the floor. And there are a couple of other little things. We want them to do all of it. You say, wait a minute, this isn't about all of it. This is about the major stuff. Like this water heater that's leaking all over the floor. So that's the stuff you've got to manage their expectations. It's also not for maintenance items. And if they, on a home inspection, you'll see a ton of maintenance items. And have you had a home inspection? You have, okay. Have you all had a home inspection? Ashley, Rachel?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
sure.
Thank you. And Tavon, have you too? I know you're at work, so it's hard to talk, but if you've been, and Teresa?
No,
Okay, so on the home inspection, you're gonna get, and this is, you can actually go to my website, and I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat, but you can go there and look at the website and get a sample home inspection report, so you can look at it. The big thing to know about that is you will find that there's a ton of stuff on the inspection that makes no sense going with the Maryland contractor sale. Because the home inspection report has so much maintenance stuff that's not major, stuff that doesn't fit in structural, mechanical, plumbing. But it's in there because if it's left the way it is, it's gonna cause a problem.
Can you give me an example?
One of the things would be scraping and painting the wood trim on the outside of the house. So if there's some wood and it's that the paint is peeling, it's not bad now, but if you don't scrape it and repaint it, it's gonna get worse and the wood will deteriorate. Or getting your ducts cleaned or cleaning out the dryer vent. Those are things that are like maintenance items, but they're gonna be in the report. Because if you don't do them, they will get worse and cause problems. And it could happen in 6 months, it could happen in a year, it could happen in 2 years, but those are the things that you don't ask the seller to do. Those are the things that you're doing, your buyer's doing. It's like, welcome to home ownership. Oh, another one that people ask for is it's the deteriorated refrigerant line installation on the HVAC system outside. It's super simple to fix, but a lot of buyers don't know that that's something that they can do. And so they're looking, at extending the downspouts, little things that can really sidetrack your negotiations. So you are saying the major things, structural, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, those are the things that you're gonna have we may ask the seller for. But none of this little piddly stuff. That's the welcome to home ownership. You get to choose how to do this.
How common is asbestos siding?
Asbestos siding is relatively common in parts of Maryland, like in Ellicott City, there's a lot of houses that have it. I would say if you find a house and you're wondering, just send me a picture of it and I can give you some sense of it. Because asbestos siding is something to prepare people for, but nothing has to be done with it if it's not in bad shape.
That's what happened in my inspection. The one that I had, so it had an asbestos siding outside, so the home inspector said, like, you don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
It's not doing anything, it's in good shape, it's just that, like, if you touch it, or then it can be harmful, if you try to do anything with it, but like, otherwise, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yep. Yeah, asbestos siding and asbestos tiles on the floor are not a problem as long as they're in good condition. What happens is sometimes a buyer will say, I want a test of that, and in order to test it, it has to be broken and damaged, and then it's not good.
It's not good.
And most sellers aren't gonna let you do it, because it damages that material that now has to be fixed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm assuming asbestos tiles on the floor in my basement. And I'm not testing it because it's all in really good shape, and I don't wanna damage it. And if I do something with the basement at some point, I'll just cover it.
How do you know what signs to look for? Like, you think like you have an asbestos side or asbestos side, how do you?
So I teach an asbestos class, and there are several different clues, but we can talk about that another time. We can do, because it can be as short or as long as you want. It's a pretty quick, just goes through a lot of pictures, so you can see that. So we can do that, because to talk about it, it doesn't. Even with the PowerPoint I have for this, there's nothing about asbestos. But yes, the other thing is, if your client understands things, there's less chance for fear.
Okay.
So if you go, that's the other part of my website is lodestarinspections.com. We've got all the services, asbestos, and there are pictures there, but mold and termite and all those things. If you can educate your client about them, that everything can be fixed with time and money, then that doesn't even have to be a negotiation process. It can be something like, if it's mold, let me find the source of the water. Without the water, the mold can't grow.
Yeah.
Every house in Maryland has the chance to have radon. You're not gonna likely find a house that doesn't have radon, even at low levels, but you've got to educate people about that.
So for mold, like if the house has been empty for a long time, like foreclosures, they might be empty without any utility connection, so they can get mold in the basement.
Yep.
That's how,
Mhm.
even if there is no leakage.
Yes, if it's, especially in the summertime, because the house has no air conditioning going, the moisture in the air is not getting pulled out, and so mold can grow that. And if the power's off and the sump pump isn't working and the basement floods, then that will.
But it can happen without flooding.
Yep, because of the moisture in the air. Yep. Okay, so you're educating them and then you're sending them, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know anything about what you just asked. You don't have to know, Therese, you don't have to have been on a home inspection to know that to know everything about what people are gonna ask. You just have to have the resources to send them to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. And Rachel, I don't know why I asked you if you've been on a home inspection. I knew that. But so our website has a ton of information about each of those things.
Yeah.
So you can send your clients there, and it also sends them to other resources like the EPA website and some other websites that good information that your clients can use that will help them understand things. Because once you eliminate the fear with that, or once you give them the knowledge, the fear tends to dissipate. As a physical, I don't know why I want to keep the physical therapist. As a physical therapist, you know that. Therese, did you have something you wanted to add?
How much is the average cost for an inspection?
For a home inspection, it's based on the size. It's based on the size of the property. So
Right.
our average price is about $500.
How much?
About $500 is probably the average price.
Okay, yeah, because I have to tell the buyer at least to put aside, certain amount, maybe $500 to $600.
Managing expectations with pricing is a big deal too. And,
Okay,
and on our website, you can get that too. You just put in the address and it'll give you the pricing for the inspection, or you can call or text us. And so you are negotiating, whole job is negotiating. It's connecting people and negotiating. So that's all super, super. And our website, it took me 9 months to write it. And it is very much, I wrote it to be a tool, for you. Not an advertising thing, but a tool. I don't know what happened there. But everybody still there? Looks like it. Okay, something happened. Okay. So now you've got on the home, and we could talk about some other things that happen on the home inspection. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So you got the screen keeps going blank, so I think I'm missing you all. So sorry about that. If you get something, let me know. Searching for sword. That's kind of what it says. Let's see if we can. Are you guys still? Did you guys?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Did you lose us at all?
No.
No, I didn't.
Awesome, because I keep losing you. So as long as you can see us, then we're fine. Okay, so if you have questions about the actual home inspection and explaining things and negotiating about those things, we'll talk about that a little more, but I want to kind of get more into the next part, which is doing your PIN. The property inspection notice, yep. So this is what you need to remember for all of this as you're writing your inspection notice and you're submitting it, is you want to know the best ways to have a chance to have all these repairs accepted, right? And this is a process that you should keep in mind, maybe lots of back and forth. So you may have 3, 4, 5 times back and forth. It may not be something that you actually get on the first try. This is the answer. And that's something to keep in mind, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it could feel like it. It could feel like there's something wrong.
If the seller accepts the repairs first time, is that a red flag or?
Nope. Nope. So,
You want me to call Melissa? She is.
or Zoe. Zoe,
Projector is giving us problems.
I just don't know if it's still. Oh, yeah, they're still here. You're still here. We just can't see you. So you can still hear me and see me. But you're just not up on the screen. I just thought I lost you guys all completely online. So I'll just keep talking and Zoe is fixing it.
I haven't had HDMI cord.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so you want to give the best chance to win. To get all the repairs requests taken care of. You're gonna go back and forth in some cases, and in some cases you ask if it can be a red flag. It's not likely. And in some cases, it may be someone who's just had the house on the market and just is like, okay, fine, we'll do it. And I've known people in that situation. And the other part about it to remember is that it has nothing to do with you. So this is nothing to do with any of you as agents. This is all about what your buyer feels comfortable about and what your seller feels comfortable with. And you are the professional and you are going to have this relationship long-term with the other agent. So no matter how the co-op agent begins to behave, you've got to stay calm and relaxed and focused. So some of the things to do and you all on Zoom, you're actually not here anymore where you were. Now you're behind me, so I apologize if I keep looking in weird directions. Uh, So you're gonna, the first thing you're gonna do, so you negotiate with your clients. This is not for major mechanical or for minor or cosmetic items. This is for major mechanical, structural, electrical, plumbing kind of things to handle. So don't, what you're gonna try and get them to do is understand that beforehand, and then tell them that they're gonna get a lot of stuff on the report that needs to be done. And then when you get the report back, you're gonna remind them, see, I told you there would be a ton of different things on here that are all minor things or maintenance. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking at stuff that's gonna impact your ability to live here safely now. That's it. And unless there are some loan requirements, FHA, VA, USDA sometimes have some requirements that a conventional loan might not meet. Like a handle, like a stair rail going downstairs to the basement or something. You are going to remind yourself of your commitment. So we're looking at supporting in developing countries, supporting empowerment for human beings to have lives that actually are greater than they could have imagined. Healthcare for homeless people and or people experiencing homelessness and people who just don't have healthcare, and being able to travel and be free, all those things. We're going to be looking at all of that together in your head. This is what I'm committed to. And my client is committed to having this house with the backyard with chickens. This house with chickens is what she wants. And so when Michaela gets this house, she is going to be thrilled. And I am working with her. So we found the house in this neighborhood. They allow chickens. It's got a backyard. It's got a fence already. She doesn't like the kitchen. The HVAC is old, but it works. There's nothing really major here that needs to be done. And she says, I want you to get everything done. Just put everything on the list. Like, this is all maintenance and cosmetic stuff. You're keeping in mind your commitment, and her commitment is reminding her that she really wanted to be in a house. Townhouse, single family home didn't matter to her as long as she was allowed to have the chickens and have the backyard and some privacy. You're reminding her of that. Taking lots of deep breaths and reminding her of that, and what the purpose of the home inspection was, and what you talked about at the beginning. Remember, we talked about this before the inspection, that there was going to be a lot of stuff. And that asking for these things to all be done can put a rift between us and the sellers. And the sellers don't, imagine if you were the seller, you don't want to deal with all these little things. That's not what this is for. This is really to take care of the major stuff. So you're reminding. So Michaela now remembers that. And then she says, yeah, but I still want to get all this stuff done. So you do what your buyer wants you to do. And you also need to manage her expectations about what might come back. Because you know that submitting this to the listing agent who says the house was in pretty great condition, there's just some maintenance and little stuff to do. Seller's not going to do anything or whatever it is. You're going to have to now deal with this now you've negotiated with your client. And now what she wants is everything. And now you've got to talk to the listing agent about it. So the first thing to do is to call the listing agent. And just have a voice-to-voice conversation, not a text. And you may text and say, they don't answer you when you call. You text them and just say, hey, can we talk for a minute? I want to submit this pin to you, but I want to talk to you first. And then when you get that person on the phone, you are listening for that listing agent's commitment. You know yours and you know your clients. I'm using Michaela's because she was so excited about it, and she's a neighbor of mine.
Okay.
We met at the home buyer seminar, and she lives around the corner from me.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are listening now for the listing agent's commitment. And the listing agent is going to, as you're listening for their commitment is to serve their client and make sure their client gets what they want, and most of the time that's get the most money possible, or get the deal done the fastest. You don't know what it's gonna be, but you've got to listen keenly for that in that phone conversation, which is why that is so important. And then after there are gonna be nonverbal cues that they give that you're gonna listen for. And as you're listening, you're gonna get some clues about what the seller wants. Don't talk too much. Listen to what the listing agent, this co-op agent is gonna give you what to say next. And if you can believe that and trust in them, then you'll be okay, because it's all about put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So if you're in the shoes, if I'm in your shoes, I know you call me and you say to me, I want my client is gonna ask for everything to be done on this home inspection report. And I just wanted to touch base with you because she loves the house and she can't wait to have chickens there. And then you've got the listing agent says, well, my seller is not willing to do anything. So I don't know how this is gonna work because she doesn't have any money. You just heard an opening there. The seller doesn't have any money.
What, would it be a good strategy if we tell the listing agent that my buyer is motivated, so they might come up with any excuses, or it will be better, like if we say like the buyer might pull out of this deal, if, all these things are not going to be addressed, so that might make the seller more
Well,
open to doing the repair, because if we tell them that the buyer is motivated and they love the house, so they might say like, okay, we will give the upper hand to the seller, things like that.
there are different, every situation is gonna be different. And let's see, does anyone have a comment on that, an insight about that? Rachel, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? To respond to that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear exactly what he said. What was the question?
Okay, so the question was, would you call and have a conversation and threaten, not, it does sound like a threat, that my buyer's gonna back out if you don't do everything that we requested on the fifth.
I'm just asking, like, what is a better strategy? Is it
Oh, is that the question? No, I don't think in this market that would be a smart move, but I think it depends. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on whether there's multiple offers. It depends on, technically we're still in a seller's market, so I'd be careful. And plus, as a listing agent, that would be, I could get, you'd very likely upset a listing agent. I think there's, the idea is always win-win. See what, where we can both win.
Exactly, and so that's what we're talking about, and where you're looking at it from a, like, let me lay all my cards out on it. I said it as a threat, because that's how I heard it, as a listening, just to give you an idea of how that comes across. Because it's not, thank you, Rachel, because that's not what you want, is everyone to be happy.
Right.
Or at least satisfied. And so what you're saying is, I'm calling to tell you I'm going to present this to you. I'm going to send it to you. My client wants everything on the home inspection report done. And I'm calling to tell you because I get that in this market, it's kind of an unreasonable request. And my buyer's excited about the house. And that's just wanted to touch base with you. And then the seller's agent will be able to give you any clues that they give you, but you've got to listen very keenly to it. Like when you're doing your physical therapy, when someone goes, right there, stop,
Yeah.
you can go, okay, rate your pain. Exactly. So be really out there just like that, listening for that, and then stay focused on what your client wants and needs. And as the listing agent is talking, don't race to fill in words.
Okay.
The listing agent is going to tell you things like my seller has no money to fix anything, or whatever it is, they're going to give you those clues, and then you're gonna say, okay, well, let's see how we can work this out, I'm gonna present this to you, but there are multiple ways to get things done. It just takes some creativity, but you've got to actually you've got to get to that point first. And so you've done all of these levels of negotiation with your buyer, and now it's with the listing agent. And you've done it with the listing agent already once, but not as dramatically as this one could be perceived. And in some, go ahead.
I had a question because I actually recently went through that and it was horrible, and the whole transaction eventually fell through. But how do you convince your buyer? Like in my case, the seller was willing before they agreed to make all repairs. They was, they offered a $5,000 seller credit, which was good. And I went out of my way, like consulting with, or just, letting my buyer know, was contractors that may be able to do it for a lesser price. It was a good deal with the 5,000 from what needed to be done, as in my standpoint. But he was like, he just had something about the deal falling through and just wasn't willing to even accept that, because his thing was, if they offer it at closing, but we never get the closing, how is that money guaranteed? I'm sorry, I think I said it the wrong way. First, they offered for him to make the repairs up front, if he was willing to go through with the deal and give him that $5,000 back.
Got it.
And then even once that he didn't want to do that, totally understandable, because things could still happen. But later on in the transaction, even once they agreed to fix everything, it still was like a big deal. Like he couldn't why would they change their mind all of a sudden? Something must be wrong. They're gonna forge the documents. And I'm like, no, everything need to come from a licensed contractor. We'll have invoices, we'll have receipts, we'll do a follow-up. You have to do a follow-up inspection because he was using the CBDG grant. So it was just like a whole headache.
Yes. And then it finally ended up not going through, right?
Right.
So it didn't go to settlement. And now, has he been looking at other houses?
Oh, no. So he fell out with me shortly after. I lost him as a client. I had to get the broker involved, and I had been working with him for like 6 months. And so that was really hard for me to handle, because that was my first deal that fell through.
Oh
But
God.
I even took him multiple showings, like over 20. So it was really devastating for me to have to experience that, especially when I did eventually negotiate every concern. It was just never enough.
Right, and so that is part of what actually part of your training is to become comfortable with the fact that sometimes walking away is the only way that there's gonna be satisfaction. Because you can't, if the buyer loses their connection to their commitment or changes their commitment, there's nothing you can do to help bring things around if they're not being completely forthcoming with you. Because there are, I did lead paint inspection at a property, and I said, you don't need to do lead paint. Like, the house was built in '79, you don't need lead paint testing. And the husband had me come out and do a ton of lead paint testing. Okay, everything came back negative. He's like, okay, well, you didn't check the soil and the water. Can you come back and check the soil and the water? I'm like, it's not like there's nothing there. I can, but really tell me what the deal is. And he's like, well, my wife loves this house, but I don't want to move here. So he was looking for something that was going to scare her and make her not want to buy it, rather than just being upfront about, like, I don't want to be here. And that could have been the case with this guy. He might have just gotten scared about buying, who knows? But
Right, I think so.
I mean, and you did everything you could. So, but all that negotiating and all of that driving around and all of that time away from, I hear a little one in your background, like, you're away from, like, that's a lot of work you put into that.
Yes,
And
it was very upsetting.
yeah, it's like you got your master's degree in real estate. I mean, like, you really, because you had to put in so many hours of work with the guy, and you learned about negotiating. And you're not gonna get not everyone is gonna go all the way through. And he's gonna go through realtors probably. He's gonna have more than, like, he's gonna now, because you you two fell out and he's going to someone else and it'll just keep happening until he's actually ready. But he just wasn't ready. And that's where that, knowing your buyer's commitment, drilling down on that, and really getting like, no, Joseph, why do you wanna, why would you build this hospital? Why would you do that? Like, drilling down into that is what will help you with your clients.
I have a question, though. If, like you said, if the seller, the listing agent might say that the seller has no money or whatever, so do we just believe their word? Or is it possible, like they might be just, they don't want to do the repairs, that's why they're just. Leave this like that, they go and how do we negotiate it from there?
Could you all hear the question?
Yes.
No.
Well, okay.
What's the question?
So the question was, if the seller, would you mind moving right up here? And then
No,
you-
because of the line is not clear, it's breaking out.
Okay, let's try it. If the seller says, well, the buyer doesn't have, or the seller doesn't have any money, so the seller's not gonna pay for anything, because the seller can't help. Do you just believe that and move on, keep going, or is there something else going on? Of course, you don't know that. But you do know that they've given you an opening now. The seller doesn't have any money.
Okay.
But we don't know if something with closing help might work.
Okay.
Because that's at settlement, that's not now. With the proceeds of the sale, these things happen. We have no idea. And all of that can be created.
Okay.
But they have to, if they say the seller's not doing any repairs, bam.
Okay.
You have fewer things to work with. But
Right.
once they say something, it gives you an opening.
Okay. So we just work with like you said, like first hear what they're saying and then use that to negotiate, like find a solution so that everybody wins
Mhm.
around that.
Yep,
Rather than just saying like, okay, this is my demand, it's my way or no way.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly. Do you have kids?
No.
Okay, but you have a wife.
yes.
Okay, anybody else have kids?
Yes.
Okay, so kids and spouses, it's a very difficult world if you just say it's my way or the highway,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. Right.
And in business, some people tend to think that it can be done like just bam, let's just get through this and we'll do it. And no, this is business. We do it. And that just doesn't work because there's all the different personalities and all the human foibles and all the things people are trying to figure out. So you just are listening for their commitment. And then figuring out what things your two people have in common. So if the seller can't help because he doesn't have any money, but they wish they could help, but they can't, and the buyer really wants the house, maybe there's something else that can be done. Maybe there's closing help that can be done. Maybe there are repairs that can be done, that money can be put in escrow and the buyer can get that done after they close. The situation with that seller, with your buyer actually saying, I want you to get this stuff done on the house before you buy it, obviously could go really badly. Because you don't want to fix something on a house that you don't own, because if you don't go to settlement, you don't get the money and you fix someone else's house. So,
Right.
but there are this is the joy of having a brokerage that's led by people who have experience, is that they can give you ideas to work through all those things.
Right.
And so you ask questions. Well, what if they had money and my buyer could buy the house? How would that look? What questions and how questions? What and how? What would that be like if we could get that taken care of? What would make your seller really happy? I know they don't have any money, but how would they feel to have the house sold and done and know that we can move forward? What's that going to be like for them? That's going to be a whole other level of freedom that they want. And you'll find out then when you ask those what and how questions, you'll find out more from the listing agent. Because that's not stuff that they're most of the time are just going to divulge to you, because their responsibility is to their seller. Your responsibility is to your buyer. So you don't want to say, they're super motivated and they really actually do have some money, but
Yeah.
they're trying to, what you're saying, you've got to protect everything about your client.
Right.
So what would that be like for your seller if it has to go back on the market? In this market, it might go very quickly because it's priced right. But it does have a little bit of stuff that has to be done.
Right.
Who knows? The market is shifting. Who knows?
Right.
So this is all, and this is an evolving conversation because the market is constantly shifting.
Right.
So you got in at the perfect time because you get a little bit of the seller's market.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, and maybe some buyer's market at some point, too. Maybe a balanced market.
Yeah.
Who knows? So as you keep working through that and going up, it's the questions, it's the what questions, it's the how questions, it's what's your commitment. It's getting to know what is so important to you and then getting to know what's important to your client and just drilling down on that. Then asking the seller that and find out what the seller's priorities are. When you ask those what and how questions, that's going to give you that information. And don't jump in with words.
Yeah.
Just be quiet and listen. And stay calm and relax about it. None of this is the end of the world, and it feels like it. And so you may actually get a little, oh my gosh, that's silly. We all get a little agitated because we just want to get this done. And there's also the fact that we're getting paid. And everything that you've done up to this point, you haven't been paid for, and you'd really like to get paid. So could we come to an agreement here, please?
Yeah.
And that feeling is also there, which you can't deny, and there's nothing wrong with it. You need to be able to, you've got to be able to accept it. Okay, I really wanted to do this because I really need money. And I've taken them to see 20 houses. We've done all these other things. But you know what? The bottom line is maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe I need to just know how to walk away and when to walk away. And then you've got to be able to share that with your client in a way that has them not feel like they lost, but that what they were doing wasn't a win-win. I bought my first house in 1997. And I wanted a single family house in Anne Arundel County, and it needed to be under 200,000, I think. And I have 2 kids, so I wanted 3 bedrooms. We have stomach issues, so I wanted 2 bathrooms at least, and it wanted single family home. And my realtor, who I would never use again and wouldn't recommend, who is still practicing, sent me listings like, oh, this just came on the market today. Let's go look at it and put in an offer. It came in at 250. We'll put in your offer of 200 and see what happens. Set me up for failure for every single, and we probably did 8 or 9 offers.
Wow.
Same day that it came out on the market, we made an offer,
Low ball.
25 to 50,000 less than they were asking on the day it came out.
On the date. Wow.
That was setting me up for failure, setting us up for failure. He had other unprofessional traits as well. However, this was the thing that, then this was before I got into home inspections in 2006. This was the thing that was like, if he'd managed my expectations and said, you're gonna have to look for something that's been on the market for a while. And when he finally said, what about a townhouse? We saw 2 townhouses and bought one. And it was super simple, but he didn't say that until we'd been through the ringer. And he told me his wife was furious with him because he'd been out for so many showings and written so many contracts. And it was like, we're not the professionals. We didn't know as the buyers. And he just didn't manage our expectations. So it was this huge roller coaster.
Okay.
Now, and with the multiple bid conversations, you're dealing with that sort of in the same way, because you've got people who are making offers on something that they fell in love with, that they really want to buy, and they hope they get it. And they're not willing to make any concessions as buyers, or they're going to have to make concessions, and you've got to educate them about those things. So do you also know how to protect yourself? Is there a document that you have your sellers, your buyers sign to protect yourself if they are waiving a home inspection?
No,
There's
what's
not,
that document? What is that document?
no, I'm asking if there is one. So there, and there,
In the contract of sale, there is a paragraph like the buyer wants the inspection or they are declining the home inspection.
is it on there?
I think so, yes.
Okay, because I can't remember, because I think they changed the contract of sale
Yeah.
to have that as something that's there, but there is, you're having the conversation.
Yeah.
Like you're getting this house, and if you're willing to buy it without inspection, you may get it, but you may not. You need to understand what that means.
Yeah.
So like you're negotiating with them constantly. Constantly to make sure that they understand the ramifications. Yes, you don't get the home inspection, but you get the house. Are you gonna be able to deal with whatever comes up? Because we don't know what's gonna come up, because we have only walked through it.
Right.
It's all negotiations. And the two biggest things I would say for you are, it's not about you. And if you could take yourself out of it and just be with the other person, like you're with them, like what is it that they have?
Right.
What are they worried about? What are they concerned about? What and how? And the commitment all around, everybody's commitments and finding the aligning commitments, then you're gonna be okay. It's not gonna take away like Ashley's one that went off the rails.
Right.
Because that's just something that happens. But that's not something that happens to everybody all the time. That's like wow, you need advanced training right now, Ashley. Here we go. That's what that's like.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind and nail down your commitment. Like Therese, you're like really get clear for yourself
Mhm.
what that's gonna look like for you when you are empowering people in developing nations. Like, what is that gonna look like? Like, get really, really clear on it so that you're able to create it. And like, that's what drives you. And when that's your overarching thing, like, you're gonna be able to travel. You're gonna be able to go where you wanna go, have the freedom to do whatever you want. If that means helping people who are experiencing homelessness or serving at, doing whatever you wanna do, you're able to do that.
Right.
Because that will make a difference for you and other people in the world, and that's what you want, and spending time with friends and family, that's why you're doing this. So I'm negotiating, not because I need this paycheck right now, or this commission check, which you may. I get that, but not because you need the commission check right now, but because this is a bigger thing, and if I do something to alienate the other agent, I'm not going to be furthering myself toward my goal or my commitment. So staying focused on that is going to be your big thing and what your client wants.
Right. Yeah.
Any questions? Because I feel like that was a little funky going around here, but
It was very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
then
good.
I
Thank you so much. You've been
I have
good.
a question.
oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Now, what if in this negotiation that you started, what if the buyer comes up and said, okay, I will spend some money, but we have to share the cost. Can you say that to the listing agent? Who said that the seller has no money for repair?
Oh, so if the seller says, I have no money.
Yes, and then as a last option, you say, well, my client is ready to help, to get some of it repaired, but you have to share the cost.
That's anything is possible. Like anything can be done to work it out. So if you find out that they are, that the seller has no money, but will have money after the sale, then we could get some contractors over to give us some bids and then put half the money in escrow and we'll split it and you pay the other half at settlement. Then that's one way to do it. But that would be completely all about you getting what your seller's dealing with. Because if the seller has no cash on hand, they have nothing that they can do. I can't fix this right now. I have no money. Okay. How would it be for you if we did it, if you gave money at settlement? Or is there some way that's all working it out together?
How does that work? When you say like we can put the money in escrow, so where does that money come from?
That goes, it's, the title company handles all of that, so that it goes on the HUD one. So you've got that. Yeah, so, and that's all done. There can't be anything that happens where the seller says after settlement, I'll give you $50 or whatever. That can't happen. That's against the law.
Okay.
So it has to all show up on the.
Time of settlement.
It has to all be done that way, and then that money will be dispersed by the title company based on however that works with commissions and paying off their mortgage and paying the new mortgage and.
That's all handled by the title.
Yep. You don't have to think about that. You've got to get it. How do we do this? And that's why, I mean, how do we make this happen? If you and the listing agent can create it, a lot of stuff can happen that seems really out there, just because it's outside the box.
Right.
But that's why the really great real estate professionals get really interesting deals and get a lot of stuff done that other people can't get done, because there's this like, well, wait a minute. Well, why couldn't we do this?
Yeah.
What about? I mean, just don't doubt yourself on those things. And if there's something, you can always check with Melissa and just say, hey, would this work?
Yeah.
And just if you can find the things that your buyer and seller have in common and both agree on and are both committed to, then you can create something. And if it begins to be uncomfortable from I feel like this is going sideways, then just say, this isn't a win-win for everybody. And give your client the opportunity to step back and step away. And Ashley's person was just, it's a different story. Ashley, you had a question?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? The cursor is over your face.
It looks like a raised
it looked like a raised hand. The cursor is over your box on Zoom. Sorry. So does anybody have any other questions before we go?
Well, can I have your website? I'm in it, but I don't think I'm in the right place. I'm like a Lost Star Inspection Services.
Yeah, let me put it in the chat. I forgot that thank you for reminding me. There we go. And I have a team of 5 other inspectors, and we all work together, and they so we get everything done for you and answer any questions. So, and also if you have questions from buyers have, you can always call me and ask me what the buyers have. So, because I've been doing trainings with buyers, just like I did with you guys, where we all got together. A field trip to a property to manage buyer expectations.
Oh, okay. Just for buyers.
Just for buyers and their agent.
Okay.
It's not just the buyers by themselves, but with their agent. So their agent gets to be the hero.
Okay.
And
That's great.
I will be interested.
awesome. Then I will get all your information from Zoe, I think.
Okay, because I want a buyer who is really not familiar with all this information. I want him to attend.
Okay, yeah, we can do that, and then they'll manage their expectations, and then that minimizes your need to negotiate as much, because you have a third party giving them like, this is what's expected, this is what's normal, this is what happens.
Yes, I think like those conversations are really hard for me. Like I'm already battling now with a client. Like we just started showing, but it's like every little thing, like, oh, what if this is wrong with the house? What is that wrong? And just to get her to understand that everything, we just focused on the big ticket items, like you said, and not really, cosmetic. It's like, it's not a perfect home, but I think that last situation maybe traumatized me, and I'm already like, oh, don't
you have PTSD.
Yeah.
Yes. So totally. Maybe we work with your buyers together, your next couple of buyers at the beginning, right when they get started,
Right.
just to manage their expectations, and you're not stuck doing that on your own, and we can get you back so that you're not traumatized from that. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. This was really good.
Good, I'm glad you liked it. And I will be doing some radon and asbestos and mold quick classes too coming up, so.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay, good. And those will have some pictures with them and stuff, so they're even more exciting.
Okay, good. I'll be tuned in for sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.